Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here, and we are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Wednesday, April 6th slate of NBA games. I'm super excited to hop into it. We only have 6 games on, so it's not like it's going to be a fantastic slate. And at the time of recording this video, it's like 10:30 in the morning, much later than what I normally do. I normally record my videos the night before, send them off, get them edited and stuff like that. And so because of that, I wasn't able to get my videos edited as of today, so the editing might look a little bit different. I had my editor send me the overlay, but it won't actually show most of my plays, so you guys will just kind of have to listen to it, and I do apologize about that. But we should be back as of tomorrow. It's just unfortunately the books were sleeping in. The books slept in, and they were not able to get us any lines, so we didn't have any lines to go with. So that's on them, to be completely honest. But I did find a couple plays that I did end up liking, so let's go ahead and dive into it. First, I did just want to go ahead and say that at the time of recording this video, we are on the road to 7,000 subscribers. I would love to be able to hit that by playoffs, but, regardless, I do want to hit it by the end of the month. So if you guys could do that for me and make sure that you guys are subbed, that would mean a lot to me. Next, I did just want to go ahead and say thank you guys to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean so much to me. Just in general, it truly does mean a lot to me. So the final thing I did want to touch on was we were talking about some MLB stuff and how the MLB was going to go with opening day starting tomorrow. Basically what I'm going to do is I am going to wait just a little bit until the NBA playoffs do start before I start posting picks about MLB, just because it'll give me a couple extra days to watch, give me a couple extra days to get some information about the MLB, and it'll also have a decent little sample size for spreads, or just win-loss records and stuff like that, and who might have a better chance, or who would be better teams to bet on, who would be worse teams to bet on, or better teams to fade, however you wanted to look at it. Stats when it comes to pitchers, it would just have more stats. It would have a better sample size, and it would help me basically allow myself to pick better winners, I guess. So we are going to wait until NBA playoffs does start before we kick it off, but regardless, there's not very many games left in the NBA season, so it shouldn't be too much longer. But let's go ahead and dive into it today. We'll do a quick recap as of yesterday. I'm very heartbroken. We did have Kevin Porter Jr. over 19.5 points versus Brooklyn at plus 100 odds. That one did end up working out for us. So a nice little plus value there. We had Jared Vanderbilt under 15.5 PRAs. That one also worked out for us. I think he finished with 14. So it was a sweat, but it did end up working out. Vucevic shot 1 for 6 from 3, finished with 7 points. So he just could not throw it into the ocean yesterday. And then we did have our game of the year. The game of the year hurt me so much, not because we lost, but it's because of how we lost. If you guys were watching the game with literally 5 seconds left on the shot clock, they inbound the ball, they get it to Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane shoots a super deep 3, and they're down by 2 at this point. So if he hits the rim and misses the shot, we win the bet. But he ends up airballing the deep 3, down by 2, airballs it, lands right in Kyle Anderson's hands. Kyle Anderson makes a layup, sends it into overtime, and then from there, the Jazz kind of pulled away, and they ended up winning by 6. So we literally lost by 1 on our game of the year in overtime. I'm very, very hurt by that. I can't lie to you, but seriously, I feel like we made the right play. I genuinely do. The fact that they only lost, or that they even got to overtime, was pretty crazy, and they were leading by double digits in the first half. So truly, I truly did feel like it was the right play, and I would play it 10 times over if I could. But let's go ahead and dive into it. Our first play of the day, we're going to be taking Dorian Finney-Smith of the Dallas Mavericks under 11.5 points here versus Detroit at minus 110 odds. Dorian Finney-Smith, he has gone under this line in 5 of his last 6 games, so he hasn't really been scoring the ball a whole lot here recently. And in his 8 career games versus Detroit, he's actually only hit this over 1 time. So I do think that we see a much lower scoring game from him once again. And in the last 7 games, the Detroit Pistons actually allowed the 6th fewest points per game to opposing small forwards. They've been a much better defensive team here recently. And in the last 3, like I said, Detroit, they allowed the 3rd fewest points per game to opposing teams. And not to mention Dallas, they also play at the 30th slowest pace, or their 30th in pace. So they play at the slowest pace in the entire NBA. So they play at a super slow pace. The Pistons don't allow a lot of points to small forwards. They don't allow a lot of points in general here recently. And it is an 8.5-point spread. I know that the Pistons are absolutely fantastic when it comes to being like underdogs. So I don't think it'll be a blowout, but you truly never know anymore. So I am going to take my odds with it. So we're going to be riding with Dorian Finney-Smith under 11.5 points here versus Detroit at -110 odds. Our second play of the day, we're going to be taking the Los Angeles Clippers -2 versus the Phoenix Suns at -110 odds. Now, the Clippers, they have played 4 games here with Paul George, and they have actually covered in 3 of those games. And in those 4 games that they have played with Paul George, 2 of them have been home games, and they have ended up winning and covering in both of those games. Now, Phoenix, they are on the second leg of a back-to-back. They obviously played the Lakers last night, and they sent the Lakers out of the play-in game, which is mind-boggling. But they sent the Lakers out of the play-in game with that win yesterday. And Phoenix on the second leg of a back-to-back, they are just 7-6 against the spread on the second leg of a back-to-back. So could we see a couple players rest here? Potentially. They did just end up overtaking the franchise record for wins in a single season. So with that being said, how much really do they have left to play for? They're definitely the 1 seed. They just beat the franchise record. And the Clippers, they're still trying to get Paul George right. So I think that we do see a little bit of value here. I think, truthfully, we could be seeing some really late injury news here for the Phoenix Suns. So I'm going to try to hop on the train before it actually happens. So we're going to be taking the Clippers -2 versus Phoenix at -110 odds. And then our third and final play of the day, we're going to be taking Kevin Durant over 42.5 PRAs here versus the New York Knicks. At -110 odds. Now, Kevin Durant, in his last 5 games, he's been on an absolute mission, just in the PRA department. He has actually covered this exact line in 4 of his last 5 games. The only one that he didn't was last game versus, I believe it was the Houston Rockets, and that was because Kyrie decided to go crazy. So I think that really does have something to do with it. I feel like Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they kind of go 1A, 1B, whereas, like, if you look at a team like the Celtics, they like to have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both have good games. But the Brooklyn Nets, it's like, okay, Kyrie, here's your game. Kevin, you got next game. And so, obviously, since Kyrie did have a good game last game, I do think Kevin Durant is the one to step up today. And it's versus New York, and it's at the Garden. I feel like, truthfully, Kevin Durant is going to be looking for some sort of a narrative, and so I think that this is a good one here. And last game versus the New York Knicks, Kevin Durant actually had 68 PRAs, so he went absolutely ballistic here versus this New York Knicks team. So I do think we see more of that here again. I'm not saying a 68 PRA game, but I do think he has a pretty good game. I think he probably has like a 35-point game, so I think he is going to be able to get this done. So that is going to be our third and final play of the day. Kevin Durant over 42.5 PRAs here versus New York at -110 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Like I said, we are on the road to 7,000, so make sure that you guys are subbed. But that is going to do it for me. This is King Sander signing out. Peace.